it's 4 o'clock on the last day, and we've got 20 minutes. Time is on. We're here for a good time, not a long time, so you can expect this to be quite lively.
They finally got my name right.
It does have the right name. Prajit, we're going to begin with a bit of fun and some quick-fire questions so that everyone in the audience gets to know a little bit about you. There's one rule. You don't have very long to answer, okay? Less than a second.
Okay.
What's your full name?
Oh, I'm born in Kerala. You put your house name first, so it's Punathil Prajit Nanu. That's the long name, but my real name is Prajit Nanu.
Okay, that took too long. Where were you born?
Tellicherry, Kerala. By the way, I don't want to give you more details because now you're taking all my information and you can access my bank.
Exactly. What year did you found your first company?
This is my first company. So I'm like the first-time wonder luck.
Okay.
2015.
Who's the most recent client you signed?
Oh, Emirates NBD.
When was that?
A few hours back.
Awesome. It's an exclusive. What's the valuation of Nium?
2 billion, if you believe valuations exist.
Revenue?
About 150 million.
I'm going to try and ask something that you can't answer. What is your ownership stake?
10%.
Okay, wow, he's going to go everywhere. This is awesome. One word to describe you.
Passionate and always wants to win.
One word to describe Nium.
Always winning.
Love it. Favorite city?
San Francisco.
Favorite drink?
Mojito.
Favorite food?
Thai, actually.
Worst question I could ask you right now?
Okay. What would you have done differently to build the company?
We're going to start there. What would you have done differently?
I would have hired better people at the start of my journey. I was a first-time founder, made like hundreds of mistakes. I make new mistakes every day. But if one mistake I could have not done is like hired a really strong team at the start. We didn't have the brand, we didn't have the money. So it was a very big hustle to kind of hire the right people. But if I had to redo this again, I would hire different sets of people to help me build the company.
So I'm going to engage the audience. Motive Partners, not Motivate, Motive, is an investment firm. We're focused exclusively on financial technology. And the thing that makes us different is we combine investors, operators, and innovators. So everyone in the room has to put their hand up for one of these. Raise your hand if you are an investor. Okay, they're the ones with the money, guys. So, raise your hand if you're an operator. And raise your hand if you're an innovator.
Raise your hand if you've not raised your hand.
There we go. Awesome. So we've got a good mix of people in the audience. Let's start with the entrepreneurial edge. Sometimes building a business is actually really just about starting it, taking that first leap of faith. Tell us about that moment with Nium.
I think I was panicking, right? Like I had this challenge, and I don't come from payments or financial services. So I was kind of naive that I should go and build a cross-border payment company. So back in 2013, I had a personal issue of moving money. And I said, oh my God, this is like such a big market. And this is so simple, I should do it. Like it was not simple. So I think I was really naive, first-time tech founder, had no clue what I was doing. That's made it simpler to take a gamble. Like I believe if I had worked in financial services or if I had worked in a bank, it would have been much difficult for me to take that move because I would think 50 reasons why it would fail. And because I had no clue what I was doing, I had only 50 reasons why it would be successful, right? Like, so I think being naive sometimes helps, and not being from the space also helps, because I had no glass ceilings. I was like, okay, everything's new. In fact, my favorite memory is we had raised $500,000, which was our first check. We started applying for licenses in Canada, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and everyone's like, you're like a 9-month company. Why are you wasting so much of money? 3 years later, that became the biggest moat for us. And today, we are one of the most hyper-regulated firms globally because of all the work which we did in the start of the journey.
Let's start with a little bit about Nium. Can you tell us your sort of 20-second elevator pitch? Sure. What does Nium do?
So Nium's a global real-time payments platform. We enable enterprises to collect, do the FX and settlement in 100+ markets globally. So if you ever used a Mashreq Bank in UAE to send money overseas, that's Nium. Very soon ENBD, as I mentioned earlier. If you have ever bought a travel ticket in the Europe, guess what? Nium's the one who's actually paid the hotel or the airline We issue 45 million virtual cards a year to make their travel bookings. If you're a freelancer, contractor, we power the whole freelancer contractor industry. So we move billions of dollars. We put money back in the hands of individuals and enterprises for large enterprises.
And tell us a little bit about the vital stats. Where are you based? Where have you got offices? How many people?
Currently, it's on an economy class seat somewhere, but we are originally from Singapore. Like, we built the business out of Singapore. Today, we've got 900 colleagues in about 26 different countries. The culture of the company, as you can imagine, is absolutely broken because we've got offices as big as 100 people to as small as 5 people. Like, how do you kind of build the culture in that aspect? Crazy growth. We move about a few $1 billion a month for some of the largest enterprises across the globe. Raised about $300+ million. It's been a while since we raised money, thanks to all the crises we've seen. But top 100 fintechs, fastest growing in terms of growing 50% year on year on revenue.
Let's talk about culture for a moment, because it's one of the hardest things to get right, but it's unquestionably the most important thing, and particularly important if you're in business to have a good time, which we all should be. How do you go about, as the leader of this firm, building culture?
I think we are very transparent as a company. So we do all hands on deck every month, and you get really painful anonymous questions, right? The anonymity cloak is so strong. You can ask like, "Oh, Prajit, I don't believe in your strategy. You're full of shit," right? Like, I can get those questions, and I think it's very important. In fact, I learned it from a founder in Thailand, actually. So he said, "I do an AHM every month, every Friday, last Friday," and it's amazing. Like, I really enjoy it. Now that we've become much larger, my legal and compliance team sometimes don't allow me to answer some of the questions. But like, it's a no holds barred. Like, you can ask me whatever you want, and I have feisty answers for all the questions as well. But open sharing, collaboration, and transparency, I think, is what the core ethos of a startup. I think startups are very painful. You should not work for a startup. It's a lifestyle. You're never off. Like, I can't remember in the last 8 years I've taken a holiday where I've been able to switch off my phone, etc. It doesn't work, right? So it's a lifestyle choice. So you need to really be in a transparent culture. I can't be standing there and saying we are kicking ass while we have 2 months of runway, right? So we enable people to ask any questions of how much money do we have in bank, how much revenue we've made, who is our largest revenue customer. We keep as transparent as possible. And I think that's helped, because in a company like ours, where we have smaller teams in so many different markets, how do you bring, and we've never brought everybody together to kind of do that. We've never done a party yet, like of all 1,000 people together. So it's very difficult to motivate everyone unless you're really transparent.
Okay. At some point, when the timer gets down to a few minutes, we're going to ask the audience for some questions, so get your thinking hats on. Cross-border payments it's a crowded space. Mm-hmm. What are you guys doing to differentiate and position yourselves differently to win clients like EMBD?
Yeah, I think in any space there is crowd, right? Like, even if you look at AI now, there's so many bunch of people jumping and saying we do AI when they don't. I believe in payments, we never focus on things like cost, etc. We are always like, I call it a flywheel of payments. There are a bunch of things, I could have some of my peers in the crowd, so I'll not talk about it. But our focus now is what's the value we bring outside of payments, right? Because anyone, like, as you can imagine, I've seen the decks of all my peers. I've seen some of our public. Everyone says the same thing. If you open the decks, everyone says exactly, "Oh, I have so many licenses. I move money this far." Like, I actually start with a slide saying, "You've heard all of these things. We don't want to talk about this." This is our flywheel. These are these 6 different utilities we've built within the payment piece, which actually differentiates us, right? Like, and that's why I think we won our first $1 trillion business in January this year. Super excited with that. I was talking to you, like, it's like we won the client this year. They will go live next year, and I'll see volumes in 26, right? But it's fun. Like, the $1 trillion businesses don't come easy. But our focus is never to compete on price. In fact, if I meet salespeople from peers who I know are driving prices down, I'll be feisty enough to say that, please stop doing this. Please don't offer low prices, because people take your prices, come to us. They don't give you the business, and you're spoiling your name by being a low-cost provider. So people who use us, I always say that they are people who value service over price.
Reassuringly expensive, just like Stella Artois.
Yeah. I think there is a reason why you pay X amount of money to buy a Hermes bag, because it's really quality, and I think Nium does that same space in payments. So we expect customers to pay for quality of service.
Let's go a little bit more forward-looking. What's your perspective on digital currencies, and do you see there being a place in the world for such activities?
Yeah, I think crypto, in fact, my worry about crypto, right, it goes through this hype cycle. 2 years back, Nium was in an RFP for FTX's wallet withdrawal, and the top 3 contenders were 2 very large American banks. Fast forward, one FTX went belly up. All the banks called us and said, if you touch crypto, we will offboard you. And today, Nium has a access of 75 different banks, like globally large ones, regional ones, etc. So there's a massive hype cycle. Now, it's all again coming back. I see value for stable coins. Like, I'm not a big fan of like altcoins, etc. I think they are like amazing ways for people to lose their money. But I really see value in stable coins, especially if there's an ability for an emerging market. Imagine like Brazil, if you're a Uber driver in Brazil and you're being paid in a USD stable coin, you don't need to worry about inflation, which Brazil will have, Argentina will have, or other African markets will have. So I think stablecoin has a great potential to change things, but regulations are not there. Regulators haven't woken up to this, so there's still lots to do.
Let's double click on trends for a moment. Double click. I sound like I work at McKinsey. Talk to me about your views on AI. It's been the buzzword of the year. Hopefully, it starts getting a bit more practical. Where do you sit on that?
Yeah, I think hundreds of billions of dollars will be spent on making hundreds of millions of dollars of companies. I think people are going to, this is a hype cycle, right? Like we saw it in Fintech. A few years back, I was hearing pitches that, oh, this company is going to kill Visa and MasterCard, never going to happen, right? Like, so it's on the top of hype cycle, right? Like there are a bunch of companies who have raised incredible amount of money, and they need to unfortunately raise that pile of money because majority of the money is being gone to pay AWS and NVIDIA, as we all know, right? Like, so I think there'll be I also think in payments, because that's close to heart, the number of fraud is going to significantly increase. I had a founder friend call me the other day and explain a story where he got a call which sounded like his wife, who was calling him from a fact that there was an accident and she needs urgent $10,000. Said, I would have sent the money on Venmo if she wasn't right in front of me, right? So I think AI is just going to make our life much more crazier. Fake social avatars, fake IDs, fake documents. Not that it's not there today, but AI is just going to make it real, right? Like I have locked up my money in a place where only way I can access it through a voice log, but like this, anyone can record my voice and then suddenly someone can access my account with a voice log. So I am really freaked out with the applications of AI, especially with fraudsters, because I believe they are some of the smartest minds are absolute fraudsters.
And where's Nium using, I wish I hadn't worn these socks. I can see myself in the reflection. Where is Nium using AI?
We don't. We're doing a lot of work around helping customers kind of understand documentation, ask questions, get this. I think we're still scratching surfaces. We, of course, use a lot of machine learning. We use a lot of ML largely for data validation. Imagine our platform has hundreds of millions of data every time. We issue 45 million cards, which are getting used across the globe. So we are triangulating a lot of data to kind of create signals. So even before you work with a business, we can tell you that 50% this business is fraud, you should not work with them. 90% this business is amazing because of all the signals we are collecting. So we use a lot of machine learning to kind of do that, but AI, we're still scratching the surface, figuring out where it fits into the payments world.
Given I've got you on stage and Motive is an investment firm, I'm gonna ask you some questions that I would ask you if we were looking at an investment. Who are some of your investors at the moment, and when is your next funding round?
Our investors include very patient capital, GIC Temasek, which is the sovereign funds of Singapore. We've got Bond, which is Merrymaker. So Merrymaker actually wrote Future of Internet back in 94, 95, incredible investors. Riverwood, New View. I'm like very lucky where I have a bunch of very amazing Eastern investors like Asia and amazing Western investors as well. Capital raise, depends. I think markets right now tough. Like it's very funny. We raised at $1 billion at 20 million ARR. We raised at $2 billion at 40 million ARRs, and now we have 150 million ARR, right? Like, so it's, and now no one's going to give us $2 billion. They're like, oh, we think you're amazing at a 1.4, 1.5, blah, blah, blah. But I think that valuation, what we've realized is not important. Valuation, the only valuation which matters is when you go public and you basically look at the ticker. That's a very scary feeling, but I think that's the only valuation which matters. Not sure when we'll raise next. Don't need the cash. Have enough happen.
It's nice to have patient capital, but if you want some impatient capital, then yeah, you know who to call. If you were sat in front of an investor and they asked you, why should we invest? How would you answer that in a short answer?
Yeah, I think most important is two parts. One is the infrastructure we are creating, which we believe is state of the art, right? Like we built an infrastructure which is local but global, right? Like you want to access PIX, you want to access UPI in India, you want to access IMPS, or you want to access FAST in Singapore. We've built all that infrastructure. We've done the hard work, right? Like we have a customer who is payrolling 60 countries twice a month, hundreds of millions of dollars. And we ensure the fact that the money is received 99.9% in the person's bank account, right? This infrastructure is very difficult to replicate, especially with the regulatory modes. So I think that's one part. And second is, hey, these are the customers we've added in the last 4 months, right? Like such a prestigious brand, Emirates NBD, there's nobody in UAE who doesn't know that, right? And we'll soon add another top 5 bank in Middle East in the next few months. Before end of the year, we'll have at least one more top 10 bank in Middle East. So we strongly believe the quality of customers who are choosing us is also a good insight of how good the quality of business is. So now the focus for us is cut the noise in fintech, really focus deep down on what we want to build the best infrastructure, and customers will follow.
Okay. Right, we're going to come to the audience. Before we do though, Prajit and I are in the business of LinkedIn followers, so if you could take photos and tag us while we're on stage, it would be very much appreciated. Funniest caption wins. And no bad questions. So we've got 3 minutes remaining. Who's going first?
Yeah.
This gentleman here.
Sure. Sure. So the question was, how did I raise the first $500,000? My background is sales, so the only thing I knew was hunting people down. So basically, I was very new to tech. I had no clue what I was doing. So that's also the real answer. Like, I won't say it publicly, but I had absolutely no clue. So I knew I had the email addresses of all the VCs, which I had kind of triangulated, created, all of that. And I used to email them saying that, hey, month 1, we did this. Then I used to reply all, month 2, we've now been able to do this. I think I hassled Rocket Internet a lot. And they finally took my call and they said, hey, you know, we're getting our updates, this is interesting. And those days we were 2 guys on a PowerPoint, that's it, right? They said, okay, what is the story about? But, you know, regrettably, I actually gave them 25% of the business for $500,000. We actually have made them more money than any of their investments in Asia put together, right? Like, so, but it was a first time entrepreneurial mistake. I will never give 500K, 25% to anyone ever. But you really need to hustle, especially if you don't have network, right? Like now, if you know founders like me and if it's a good business, we are very happy to introduce to our investor network. But I cold called to get my first 500K or emailed.
I think tenacity is unquestionably one of the most important qualities in an entrepreneur. And you talked earlier about you know, not knowing what you didn't know, and that beginner's mind philosophy, the Zen concept that in the beginner's mind there's endless possibilities, and the experts, there are few, is a very, very powerful trait for any entrepreneur. Next question. Where are we at? You guys are feeling the pressure. Come on. One more. Okay. Wow. There we go.
Questions.
Just need a little shove.
Yeah.
Gentleman in the, I think it's
we should ask the lady. You know, we need diversity, diversity in questions.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Diversity in questions.
Love it. We need a microphone over here for this lady.
Hi. Well, I've worked in the payments industry for over 20 years, and I see the trends keep changing, right? You have FX, you have remittances, and then you have crypto coming in. So the question to you is, what do you see the next big trend in payments? What is it, that problem that you're trying to solve?
Right. Okay. I think, you know, we are not going to be trying to hunt a new trend. because the trend, right, keeps shifting, right? Like it's like, as you rightly said, oh, FX, remittance, etc. Our core, what we are building is excellent infrastructure for reliability of money movement, right? What you use, which is, you use a CBDC, you use Bitcoin, you use altcoin, you use fiat. That's not important. I think what's important is the infrastructure which actually delivers the money on time every time, right? So we don't believe in chasing trends, right? Like by the way, we've done that. So for the first 3-4 years, I used to chase every trend, and I used to always cry that why I did it. I think it's only 24 months back I became a bit smarter and said we're not going to chase trend. We're just going to focus. We go to our customer and say, right, we have built this infrastructure. You can access our infrastructure, and we will deliver the money reliably, right? Like that's all what's important for the customer. What we do, how we do is secondary. Chasing trends as a fintech founder, we don't have billions of dollars of profits and cash, right? Amazon should do it or Nvidia should do it. As a fintech founder, I should tell you, we should focus on our core mission. Our core mission is for enterprises to collect and disburse the money globally. That's it.
Thank you, Prajit. We are out of time, and I'm being waved down. If you have a question and it didn't get answered, please mob Prajit at the end while I sneak out the side entrance. But you're going to have to get him afterwards because we're being ushered off stage. Guys, a huge round of applause to Prajit and the incredible company he's built. Thank you very much.